All right, so we're starting this new unit, and the new unit is about relationships. The big idea, the big idea of algebra is relationships. Relationships are pairs of numbers, and there's different ways to represent these relationships. One of the ways to represent them is on a graph. So a big skill that you're going to be using all the way throughout this is how to represent a pair of numbers on a graph. So, for example, when we're talking about one of the pairs of numbers we talked about in the PowerPoint video, and we talked about the number of hours worked, and the amount is related to the amount of money you make. So, on a graph, then the number of hours worked would be represented on this x-axis, because there's two variables, right? There's hours, so that would be represented here, and the amount of money made would be represented on this y-axis, so that would be the other variable. This x-axis, this horizontal axis, is the x-axis. It is represented by the first number in the pair. This vertical axis is the y-axis. It is represented by the second number in the pair. So when you click on 1, -27, we're going to be going to 1. Okay, and what we're going to notice here is, and so I'll show you. So 1, -27. So we're going to go over to 1. There's the x value. But then it says to go up to -27. So what we're going to notice here is on this y-axis, there's not a -27. So how do we do this with Get More Math? And you'll notice this little gear thing. And so we're going to click on that little gear thing. And so we can set the axis. Well, we're good with the x-axis. We can go over 1. But the y-axis is going to scale, is going to have to change a little bit. So we're going to change that y-axis scale, and we're going to have it count by fives. And when we have it count by fives, it changes the number values. So then you look and say -27. Okay, so can we go down to this is -20, -25, -30. And so you're going to have to be able to count that scale. If this is -10 and this is halfway, then that's going to be -5. Okay, and so that's how that works. So you go -27. So you can go over 1. You're going to go down to -27, which is right about there. Now, what you're going to notice here is that this whole thing pops up. That means if you feel like, oh, I put that just a little bit more, but maybe I need to go one more, you can click on this arrow to bump it down. You could click on this arrow to bump it up if you feel like that. You could put it right here, right on the 25, and then just hit this twice. 1, 2, and it'll bump it down to 27. And so if you're like, I don't like where that point is at all, I'm going to go ahead and just hit the trash can and it'll disappear. Okay, so that's what these controls are about. And so that would be 1, -27. Okay, so the next type of problem then is this one here. So write the coordinates. So we are going to be given a dot, and you actually have to write the coordinates for it. So you're going to actually have to write the pair of numbers. So the first thing that you need to know is the pairs of numbers, you have to have the parentheses. When we write the pairs of numbers in that algebraic form, it's going to be a parenthesis with the x number, the x value, and then a comma and the y value. So we have to look for that. So we've got the parentheses. Now we're going to look for that y value. So you see that it goes, so how do we count that? 10, 20, 30, 40. So we see that it's counting by tens. So that first number then is going to be 10. So the x value is 10 because it just goes one line, 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay, so then we have to go up and find the y value. We see, okay, that's 10, so halfway is 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. And so we count that 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. And so that's going to be 35. If we go down, it would be negative. Okay, so that is how we do that. Okay, so then we go and we look at a different type of problem. So that's 2. This is 3. All right. So click on -3, -140. Okay, so this is a similar to the first one that we did. Click on -3, -140, but man, -3, -140. -140 is pretty big, so I think we're probably going to be off this graph. So again, we're going to look at these tools here. We can go to -3, but we cannot go to -140. So click on the tools. We're going to change that y-axis, and it's probably going to be more than count by 5s. So we're going to try to count by 20s. We don't need to change that x-axis. So -140. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. And so you can go all the way down. And so we're able to go -3, 140. So -3, -140. Yeah, we got that one. All right. So then the last type of problem here, just another one, just another example of changing that. But this one, we actually don't even have the x value on here, so we're going to have to change both. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Change x value to reflect and probably go 5. And we'll try 5, but realize that works for the x value, but it doesn't work for the y value. We can't go to -52. So we're going to have to change that again, go and change that. So we're going to count by 10s. And so we go to -28. So -28, which is almost 30. So you could almost put the dot there and move back 2 places. So -28. And then down -52. So here's -50 and 2 more. So it puts it almost like right in the middle. And so we're going to have to nudge it over probably, and probably down, maybe. No, that worked. Okay. And so that's how these problems work. And so I know that it's going to take a lot of practice to get that, but the practice is good now because you're going to be doing a lot of the changing scale and trying to make things work.